Over to you. Prynawn a croeso I gyfarfod blynyddol cyffredinol Cwmtaf Morgannwg. Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to the Cwmtaf Morgannwg University Health Board Annual General Meeting. Can I extend a very warm welcome to everybody who may be observing us today. I should just remind ourselves about the restrictions because of COVID-19. These restrictions are still in place in respect of public gatherings and essential travel. So we're broadcasting today's annual general meeting live, which provides an opportunity for anybody with internet access to observe in real time using a link that was shared via various channels prior to the meeting. So a very warm welcome, and we hope that you'll find this meeting a bit more interesting than annual general meetings have a reputation for being. They can be a bit of a yawn, can't they? But I hope you won't find ours so. So we're going to begin with something which I really do hope people will find interesting and informative. So to complement our annual report, which we have produced, we've captured some reflections on the past 12 months in a video presentation that we're now going to play for you. This will be uploaded onto the Health Board's website as well as a version with English subtitles, and you'll also find one with Welsh subtitles too. So, Mike, over to you for the video.
So the past months have been, and our staff and communities have been challenged in ways we could never have imagined. The loss caused by the virus has been tragic, and the impact of the virus on our communities and staff will last for some time yet to come. The past 12 months have also shown just how committed everyone who works for the Health Board are to their work, and the level of resilience and support seen across Cwmtaf Morgannwg has been nothing less than inspiring. So it's important that as well as the significant loss we have experienced, we also recognise the achievements which have been made in the past year and which give us hope for the future. As our thoughts turn to how we restart services and recover from COVID-19, building strong relationships between secondary and primary care, we are committed to ensuring that the learning and successes are used to shape how we work in the future, how we go about addressing the challenges we face, and our improvement journey as part of our targeted intervention and special measures escalation status. We will also be using our learning from the pandemic as a spur to tackle head-on the persisting health inequalities of our communities. As a board, we remain committed to ensuring that people, quality and safety are at the heart of everything we do. This video is just a snapshot of our journey over the past year, the dedication shown across CTM, the benefits of partnership working, and the improvements and learning across our health board. Cwmtaf Morgannwg University Health Board is responsible for the healthcare of around 450,000 residents across communities in Bridgend, Rhondda Cynon Taf and Merthyr Tydfil. We employ more than 12,500 people and deliver care across 3 district general hospitals, 6 community hospitals, 1 mental health site, 29 health centres and support facilities, 51 GP practices and many other community services. Last year saw more than 145,000 A&E attendances, and we have conducted hundreds of face-to-face or virtual consultations. We've worked hard to raise our profile in the past year and now have a social media following of more than 33,000 on our main Facebook page, 16,600 on Twitter, and 3,700 on Instagram. We're pleased to say that we continue to meet and exceed our target to reduce carbon emissions by 3% each year. The COVID-19 pandemic has hit our communities and staff extremely hard, and sadly, many loved ones have been lost to COVID-19. The past 12 months have seen our staff rise to the challenge of the pandemic, including a devastating second wave in late 2020. In the most inspiring way, teams have worked together to support each other, and many staff were redeployed to new areas of working. We created new ITUs, wards, departments, and even a whole new field hospital, Ysbyty Seren in Bridgend. We also have been working hard to try to keep many services going. And teams have had to adapt to new ways of working, to wearing PPE, and to using new technologies. The rapid rise in numbers in our communities during the second wave was felt across our sites as cases peaked, and our teams had to work hard to adapt and respond to the challenges of COVID-19 outbreaks within some of our hospital sites. As we begin to look at how we live alongside COVID-19 and recover from the impact of the first two waves, we will ensure that the achievements, learning and joint working with our partners will be captured, so we can build on these opportunities as well as support each other as we try to heal together as a community which has lost so much as a result of this devastating virus. We have always valued working with our partners, and the past 12 months have seen those relationships go from strength to strength, coming together to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. Some examples include working with our local authority partners and Public Health Wales to deliver an effective Test, Trace, Protect programme to reduce the spread of the virus. Developing support for our communities, including information sharing and the creation of a self-isolation helpline. Partnership working with primary care, local authorities and Welsh Government, and our amazing team of volunteers for the successful rollout of the COVID-19 vaccines. Working with local authorities, the military, Public Health, South Wales Police and Welsh Government to set up Wales's first mass testing pilot in Merthyr Tydfil and the Cynon Valley. Working with the University of South Wales on research and innovation and receiving support from students to help respond to the pandemic. Working closely with our primary care colleagues via our clusters to provide care and support to our communities throughout the pandemic, and while much secondary care had to be stood down. Looking ahead, we will be working with partners, in particular the Regional Partnership Board and the Public Services Board, to support the delivery of newly established intelligence cell to review the impact of COVID-19 on our population and to inform future action to address the inequalities in health and the wider determinants of health and well-being. This includes how we can deliver preventative services to address lifestyle and risk factors. We continue to make steady progress in response to our escalation status of targeted intervention. We're focusing on three key areas for targeted intervention: trust and confidence, leadership and culture, and quality governance. Some key developments: the implementation of new ways of working and robust frameworks to improve our quality governance structures, and a new focus on how we involve and engage with staff, stakeholders, and our communities to improve trust and confidence. We remain committed to doing everything we can to improve our work in these areas. The commitment extends to our maternity services at Royal Glamorgan and Prince Charles Hospitals, which were placed in special measures in April 2019. Despite the challenges of the pandemic, our maternity teams have continued to work hard to make improvements to our services during this past year, listening to women and families and learning from their experiences to make improvements and developing systems to better measure effective practice and rigorous incident reporting. We have worked hard to support women and families throughout the difficulties caused by the pandemic and taken innovative approaches in addressing anxieties, including the development of virtual tours for our units. It remains our goal to deliver a maternity service of which staff and the local communities can be justly proud. While we've been limited in being able to celebrate achievements this year, our staff recognition event at the end of December 2020 gave us an opportunity to thank everyone for their commitment and dedication and mark the event by providing all members of staff with a rainbow badge. The event was an important way for us to recognise what staff have been through and demonstrate the difference their efforts had made to fellow teammates as well as our communities at such a difficult time. To show our support, we also lit up a number of sites in rainbow colours throughout the evening. This was followed by another light up of our sites in March to acknowledge the anniversary of the first lockdown and to show solidarity with families and staff who had lost a loved one during the pandemic. We have also remained committed to innovation, with just a few of the examples being the ongoing development of Bridgend Health and Wellbeing Centre as part of Sunnyside Wellness Village in Bridgend, the refurbishment of Dewi Sant into a health park with work due to be completed late summer, the development of a new primary care centre in Mountain Ash, our clinicians and teams contributing and participating in COVID-19 research, making use of 3D technology to print materials to support our response to COVID, using new technology to deliver care, such as virtual appointments with clinicians, the development of virtual tours to help support patients to feel safe in the light of COVID-19, virtual Q&As with our staff to listen to their views and ideas, live streaming our board meetings as a commitment to transparency and openness in our decision making. This year, a key focus for our organisation has been the launch of our values and behaviours. Over the past 18 months, more than 6,500 pieces of feedback have been received from colleagues, patients and service users to find out what's important to us all. Working together and with the vital support of our trades union partners, we shaped our values, and in October, on World Values Day, we launched them across CTM during a special virtual event with staff. These have been particularly challenging times for our organisation and indeed across the whole of the NHS in Wales, and for us individually as we navigate our way through the COVID-19 pandemic. Our values are not intended to provide all the solutions, but together, working as one team, they are intended to help us focus on how we can be at our best. Since the launch, we've been working with our teams to promote and highlight how staff are living these values and behaviours and applying them to everyday situations. Looking ahead, we will be continuing our work with staff to truly embed these principles into everything we do and be an organisation that puts people and the values and behaviours we all live by at the heart of everything we do. Other key developments in supporting our staff have been a focus on wellbeing support for staff during the pandemic, the work of the Our Staff Networks and Our Arts and Wellbeing Steering Group, and the launch of our Leadership and Management Development Programme, all of which are helping to make CTM a supportive and inclusive place to work.
We hope this video has given you an understanding of some of the challenges we've faced, as well as the achievements we've achieved at CTM this year. We remain really proud of our staff and committed to delivering the best service for our communities. And you can find more about our achievements in our annual report, which is available on our website. So looking forward to the coming year, we'll obviously be focusing on recovery from the pandemic and restarting our services. We'll be looking to build strong relationships between our primary care and secondary care colleagues to make sure our communities receive the treatment as quickly and safely as possible. We'll think about how we can deliver care with a focus on delivering more care closer to people's own homes. And we'll learn from the pandemic and focus on tackling the real health inequalities in our population. As we develop our health strategy, we'll be looking at how we can support people to improve their health and well-being and deliver preventative services and upstream prevention to try and help people deal with the mental and physical effects of the pandemic. We want to carry on working and building relationships with our third sector partners, the staff, communities, and other people who've worked so closely with us during the pandemic, making sure that we're available to support our communities and finding the solutions to the challenges we all face. We'll obviously put our staff and patients at the heart of our services and work to do our best for them all. We really remain committed to improving our services and wanting to continue to listen to people's experiences and ensuring that those shape how we work as an organisation. And most importantly, we want to support the well-being of our staff to make CTM a great place to work and support and develop our leadership capabilities. We'd like to thank our staff, our communities and our partner organisations for all the help they've given us over the past 12 months, and we look forward to working with you in the future as we move into an exciting next phase for CTM. Thank you.
You're on mute, Marcus.
Thank you to the people who produced that video, our communications and our corporate governance teams. That was, I think, a really nice and truthful reflection, really, of what it is this health board is all about. This has been a really challenging year, and I think that came across, I think, in the video. We'll load it up onto our website so that if you haven't had a chance to see it now, or if you know other people who might like to, it'll be there and available. So the next bit of our little agenda this afternoon is a delight, I think. I'm absolutely delighted that we're going to spend just a little bit of time thinking about creative arts in health and well-being. You know, everybody in the health service knows that health is much more than, you know, biochemistry and broken bones. Health is all about the fullness of being a human being, and the creative arts work that you're going to see a little bit of now is a fantastic example. It reminds us of that the importance of the whole human being, and it also shows us what fantastic creative resources there are amongst our staff, our patients, and the population that we serve. So I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Esyll George to the AGM this afternoon. And Esyll, if you can introduce the video that you're going to be sharing with us and on the work that you've been leading for the Health Board. Thanks very much.
Diolch yn fawr. Thank you very much for inviting me to this AGM meeting today. It's been an honour to work as Arts and Health Coordinator with Cwm Taf Morgannwg Health Board since September 2019, and to notice the impact and breadth of interest in arts and creativity for health and well-being throughout the Health Board during such difficult times of the COVID pandemic. We'd like to show a short video created by the Arts and Health team with assistance from our comms department, which demonstrate aspects of our work within Arts and Health over the last couple of years. Before playing the video, I'd also like to invite one of our staff Arts and Health champions, Leah Salter, to say a couple of words too. Thank you. Enjoy the video.
Diolch yn fawr, Esyst. Yes, so my name is Dr. Leah Salter. I'm an Arts in Health champion alongside my work as a systemic psychotherapist working in mental health services within the Health Board. I'm going to keep this short and sweet because I think the video will say more than I could say in this short sort of brief interlude. But I would like to really take this opportunity to celebrate the partnership work between ourselves in the kind of wider psychotherapies and the Arts in Health network. It has been a challenging year, but it's also been a year of opportunity to bridge many gaps and work across different services, including working with the third sector, and the connection that we have with Arts in Health has really helped us to broaden our reach within our communities. Diolch yn fawr.
Thank Hello, my name's Esyst George. I'm the Arts and Health Coordinator for Cwmtar Morgannwg University Health Board. Esyst George di'n enw fi ydi cydlynydd celfa iechyd efo Bwrdd Iechyd Cwmtar Morgannwg. It's been a pleasure to be an Arts and Health Coordinator with the Health Board in such exciting times for Arts and Health. There's been an emphasis in recent years for arts and health and creative ways to develop health and well-being to be an integral aspect of the work and delivery of health boards in Wales. This was generated through the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act a few years ago, followed by a development in memorandums of understanding between the Arts Council of Wales and the Wales NHS Confederation. My work has involved a whole range of different exciting and innovative initiatives and activities to develop arts and health work across the Health Board.
We've liaised really heavily with the Arts and Health Department at the Health Board, and in particular Esyst George, who's the Arts and Health Coordinator. We've built a really kind of strong relationship with, and she's really supported us. It was called Not to Be Forgotten Stories, the project, and the idea was that people could have a chat with me as a therapist and tell me their story, how their lives have been changed perhaps, or stories that they didn't want to be forgotten or lost through this time. I guess engaging with the arts is that it's like a different pathway. It's a different way to access your own unique kind of resourcefulness, your own competence, your own resilience and your own creativity.
At Ysbyty Seren, we've developed a model of good practice of holistic, creative healthcare for patients and for staff.
I've also been working with patients in Ysbyty Seren to create patient stories, patient experience stories, their journey through illness and being in hospital recovering from COVID, and using their own words we started to build poems about the patient's experience, and the feedback from the Health Board on hearing those was really powerful. It really reminds us of the whole life of the patient, and I thought that was wonderful to hear.
And over the last few months I've been working in arts and health. It was interesting to be able to offer a moment in time really, and a chance to play in a time when perhaps they didn't think there were many resources left for them. But it's been fantastic to have that time to listen to people, both patients and staff, have an activity that enables discussions, kind of communities are built in those moments, and connections are made. And I think that I've seen that it's a powerful vehicle for the health board to use going forward, because people are relaxed, they feel valued. One patient said to me at the end of a workshop, you know, I couldn't do that, I couldn't draw, you've allowed me to do things I never thought I could do.
We built an amazing dynamic where the women felt that that space was really valuable to express things that they might not have felt comfortable expressing in other places. And some of the feedback from that was through their writing, they felt they could be really, really honest, and they felt that what they wrote and what they wanted to share was valued. So I think creating these possibilities for art to be integrated within healthcare gives people a freedom to play and express and find and reflect on things that matter to them, and also to build communities through sharing those experiences in ways that they might not have otherwise felt comfortable to do so, or maybe not had the opportunity to do so.
So we are hoping over the next few months to develop this holistic model across Cwm Taf Morgannwg University Health Board. And at the moment, I'm developing working groups across community hospitals to develop this model further. We've also been initiating a range of creative activities for health board staff well-being.
We did quite a playful little workshop with masks and printing messages on masks. What was so fantastic actually is the messages were so positive. These are staff that have worked all year, and yet, you know, spring is coming, hope and kindness, really positive affirmations. Just for a moment, you know, to be a bit of a relief before they go back into work. And also because I really want to know what they think, and I really want to know what they say, and how they feel that the arts help.
I met Ez, the arts coordinator, about 2 years ago. I found her really enthusiastic. She encouraged me to do this mini exhibition here behind me of 6 photographs taken of my favourite places that I go walking with my dogs. I think it's vital what we're doing at the moment with the arts programme, and I think this is the way forward. I think we need to be more inclusive of different ways of, if people are going through illness or difficult phases in their life, is including mindfulness, including arts, including creativity in our day-to-day lives. Having something else to focus on, something else to divert your attention to, and I think it lets you express yourself without necessarily having to talk. Sometimes people don't want to talk, and I think what Ez is doing and has been doing to encourage the staff and the patients to just step outside their comfort zone is invaluable.
So workshops for staff have included looking at Cwm Taf Morgannwg University Health Board core values of teamwork, kindness, learning and listening around subjects such as creating positive working environments for staff, developing teamwork across staff teams, and initiatives like working with the chaplaincy at Cwm Taf Morgannwg to look at creative bereavements and loss workshops for staff. So an important aspect of my work has been writing funding applications to get further funding for arts and health initiatives. So recently we've been successful in getting funding through the Health Arts Research People Nesta programme to develop a model of creative social prescribing. So looking at linking creative workshops in hospitals with ongoing creative work in the community for patients.
I'm also a part of the Arts and Health Champion Network, which is, you know, people from all across the health board involved in that, people at a kind of a strategic level, people who are very kind of clinically based in terms of physical health and mental health, and it's just a whole kind of a network of people who are interested in the arts. S has kind of brought us all together through digital media, kind of engaging with each other.
It's been wonderful to meet such diverse people, but also see how the arts allows people to open up and allows people to take time to access memories sometimes. That's a really important part of recovery, and feeling listened to is so important in healthcare.
We've also received funding to create even further creative staff wellbeing programs, and also initiatives like partnership work, for example, working with local schools and working with universities on joint projects between our partners and the health board, creating all sorts of therapeutic and arts work for hospital environments and beyond.
Well, that was fantastic. I'm sure you'll agree. Absolutely brilliant. And a massive thanks to S and all her colleagues. We seem to have a really flourishing creative arts group within the health board, and it goes from strength to strength. And I'm sure a lot of that is down to S's leadership. So thank you very much for that. Brilliant, brilliant. So there's another treat, I'm really pleased to be able to say, coming our way now. The staff choir wanted to share a musical interlude with us today, and thank you so much for them doing that. Whilst we fully recognise that we still have many challenges ahead as we continue to manage our response to the pandemic and to reset our services following the impact of the pandemic, the following rendition of I Can See Clearly Now from our staff choir is a show of brilliant positivity for what we hope will be a brighter time ahead.
Gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Oh yes, I can make it now. The pain is gone. The pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. They have disappeared. Here's that Gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. 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 Bright, sunshiny day.
Well, that was absolutely brilliant. There's more than one person at this end adjusting their eyes at the moment. That was really lovely, really lovely. So fantastic. Thank you to all our staff who took part in that. It's just lovely. And it's just a bit of a glimpse of the fantastic spirit that there is in this health board. And I would say, not that I'm entirely unbiased, but that makes this a fantastic place to work. So, colleagues, that's the end of the sort of most entertaining bit. But we do have some important and formal business. But before I go on, Angela, did you want to make a comment?
I did, thank you, Chair. It's just that having seen both of those last presentations, I think we always focus, and certainly my presentation this morning focused on some of the poorer side, the data and some of the behavioural factors that impact on health. But actually seeing the creativity today, it does really underline the importance of mental and emotional well-being and the creativity, and the arts that take part, take an important part of that. And as you just said, they lift you emotionally just watching it and makes you want to, right, I want to join the choir. It just makes you feel that. So I just think it's really important to balance that out and to underline that as well. So just to make those couple of comments, it was really good to see. Thank you.
Thanks, Angela. That's lovely, and I'm sure you're speaking for everybody there. That's really good. So we move on to the slightly more formal bit of the agenda, important though it is. So this is an annual general meeting, and of course then it's partly about the presentation of the annual report and accounts. Can I ask Callie Hamblin, our Assistant Director of Governance and Risk, to present the annual report for 2020 to 2021. Thanks, Callie.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not quite sure how to follow that, but as you're aware, the board formally approved our annual report and accounts for the year 2020-2021 in our board meeting in June, on June the 9th. The purpose of today is to formally present the reports at our AGM and record that the board and the AGM have received them. The report was produced in accordance with our manual for accounts, so in accordance with the requirements that are placed upon us. The annual report is made up of a suite of documents. It contains the accountability report, which captures our statements of responsibilities and our annual governance statement. It also captures our remuneration report and our performance report, which this year focused quite a lot on our response to COVID and the impact of COVID. And lastly, but not least, it also focused on our financial accounts and financial statements. So it's a very big report that captures loads of different audiences. So to complement the annual report, we obviously had the short video at the beginning, which we hope provides you with a reflection of the past year, so that hopefully they go hand in hand with a more public focused video. I also want to thank colleagues externally and internally. The annual report had significant scrutiny through its development, not only from our board members, but also from Welsh Government, our Audit Wales colleagues and our internal audit colleagues. And I just want to thank my colleague Wendy Penryn-Jones and colleagues throughout every function really in the Health Board, because it really was a collective effort to produce the annual report this year. So massive thanks to getting the annual report produced, which, in the middle of a very challenging time. So thank you everybody for that. And lastly, just to say the annual report following today's AGM AGM will be published on the Health Board's website, both in English and Welsh, and accessible there. So thank you very much, Chair. That is the formalities in respect of the presentation of the annual report out the way. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Callie. That's great. And now can I invite Steve Webster, our Director of Finance, to summarise the year in finances and the position as at the end of the last financial year. Steve, over to you.
Thanks, Marcus. Yeah, this is always the dry bit, but it just feels more dry than ever after that, which was fantastic. But I will try and go through it as speedily as is appropriate. So to run through this, Mike or Callie, I don't know who's moving the slides, if you could sort of move that on. Thank you. So as always, our actual accounts, if anyone takes a look at those, include WISC, so they're consolidated accounts, including WISC and ESC. But here in this presentation, we're focusing solely on the Cwmtaf Morgannwg figures, and WISC and ESC have no net impact on the Cwmtaf financial position. We're just hosting it. So we're going to look at what's at the bottom of the slide there: financial targets, revenue, expenditure, balance sheet summary. So if we could move on to the next scintillating slide. So key financial targets, we lived within our revenue limit and our capital limit, but we didn't achieve the payment target. We were slightly short of it. So I'll come in a sec on the reasons for that. If we can move on then. So this is showing our operating expenses over the last 3 years against the resources we've been given by the Welsh Government, and then the underspends. So we had a slightly bigger underspend last year with the late issues with audit. We're back again to our relatively modest surplus again this year. I think the other thing just to note from those sort of set of figures is the turnover, the expenditure of the organisation is increasing substantially. So the 18-19 to 19-20 increase is normal business plus, of course, the addition of Bridgend, which was almost half, 50% again, increase in the size of the organisation. And then from 19-20 to 2021, of course, COVID. Both the costs arising from COVID and starting the recovery from COVID is what's really driven that further big increase. So if we can move on. So this is just showing our capital expenditure and the underspend against that. So quite substantial capital spend, and we'll have an even bigger one in the coming year with the PCH phase 2 coming in. That's simply telling you what our capital spend was. So if we can move on. So this is the bit that didn't go so well. So our payment of invoices. So hopefully everyone will know that we have a target to pay 95% of all of our non-NHS invoices within 30 days. So we were slightly short of that. The reason that we were short entirely in the month of April, which is partly due to COVID, but partly other issues to do with our bank, which have occurred again this year. So I think, it is unfortunate that we've not met that target, and I think that is an ongoing area that Health Board just has to have a little bit of focus on to sort out. So if I can move on from there. So this is showing the year-on-year change in expenditure across the different sort of sectors. So the two big areas of increase are the second and the third rows. So the third row is our own sort of provider costs outside primary care. Those have increased substantially. I think that's a 16% increase, so pretty big for all the reasons that we will be aware of. But our costs of other providers also increased substantially. So that would include our use of private hospital in Nuffield and the Vale during COVID, but it also includes the support that Welsh Government through us provided to nursing homes through COVID, and a few other things, but those are the two main things. So substantial increase in expenditure, around 16%. So if we can move on. This sort of shows the changes during the year, and again, really COVID dominates this. You can see the scale of funding that we had for COVID there, 102 million, but also the releases from the balance sheet, called accountancy gains in this slide, that the board will be well aware of, that we use for a whole variety of useful one-off purposes. So then we broke even. The other point to note from that slide is our savings were very low compared to normal years, and again we know the reasons for that. And the little note at the bottom is making the point about our increased recurrent deficit, arising largely from the lower savings going into the current financial year. So if we can move on. This just shows what the COVID funding, how it was made up, and you can see there things like PPE and field hospitals get a lot of coverage, but they're at the smaller end of things. The testing program, 10 million, the bonus payment that all staff had, 13 million, vaccination not so great in last year, but much bigger in the current year. The additional annual leave accrual, because during the year, as in all other health boards, our staff weren't able to take the leave that they normally would. Support for care home providers that I was talking about, and then other COVID allocations is really all the sort of responsive costs, you know, opening additional beds, staff cover, a whole host of things that we're aware of. And then there are two columns there, and it just shows that we did receive quite a bit of funding for capital expenditure from the Welsh Government. So if we can move on. Final slide. So there's less of interest probably in this slide. I think the key take-home message from this is that halfway down the slide there, you'll see the new capital investment, 54 million, was over double the depreciation figure, which is the provision we make for replacement of assets. So we spent about double the allowance for replacement of assets. So that's either on more replacement or on new developments of various sorts, and that would have included buying a lot of kit to help us during COVID. So I think those are the sort of key points. Hopefully that just takes you through just a bit of an overview of the year. Okay, thanks, Marcus. I'll obviously take any questions, but really that's just a sort of a cold run through.
Thanks very much, Steve, and don't apologise for that. That's really interesting, actually, I think, and some enormous figures there that are really quite surprising, aren't they? Thank you very much indeed. So we have an opportunity now for any questions that anybody wants to ask about any of this, and the entire team is assembled here to provide the best possible answer we can, or to get back to people if we need to. So I'm just checking to see whether we've received any questions. I know we didn't receive any before today, and it looks like we haven't received any so far during the meeting. Callie, just confirm, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, Marcus. I've just checked the live Q&A and there's no questions published.
Fine, good. Well, if there are people listening who for any reason can't access the system, because that's more than possible, we are of course very happy to receive questions after today's meeting, so you can always drop us a line or get in touch in any other way, and we will do our very best to respond to any questions that people have. So it just remains for me to thank everybody who's been involved in the presentation today, but even more importantly to thank our 13,000 staff who have made well, as you've seen and as you know, a fantastic contribution over this 12 months, which has been dominated by COVID, but in which we've also had to try and provide care as best we can for non-COVID needs as well, against some significant challenges, and also to try to make progress in improving the health of the population, which ultimately, of course, is what we're all here for. So a fantastic and heartfelt thank you to everybody for everything that people have endured and have triumphed and conquered and have had to suffer during these 12 months. So the videos that you've seen today will be all available on our website, and I urge people to download and to share those in any ways that you wish. I hope you found today's session informative and enjoyable. I know I certainly have done. So thank you all very much, and we continue to focus on improving services and improving the health of the population in this coming year. Thank you all very much.